How's everybody doing? This is Mr. Nolan, and these are your 8A notes that go with the foundations of Islam and the charts in there. I will apologize ahead of time, as I always do. Pronunciations come to me to be mispronounced. So, all right, some basic background about Muhammad. Muhammad is a successful businessman from Mecca who's going to grow troubled by society. So he is a successful businessman. He's approaching the age of 40, and he is starting to grow a little bit troubled by what he sees in society. So as Muslims would tell it, around the age of 40, they believe that the angel Gabriel comes to Muhammad with a message to warn his people against false gods and immorality. So for those of you who say the angel Gabriel, that sounds familiar. For those of you who are Christians, you believe that the archangel is known as Gabriel. It is the same angel. Okay? So Muhammad is going to become what the Muslims believe to be the last in a line of prophets of the one true God. What you need to make sure you understand is that the other prophets in this line are some names that are familiar to you. Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Okay? The Muslims are believers in the same God as the Christians and the Jews. They trace their religion and its founding and their belief system back to Abraham. Now, the difference is Christians and Jews trace it to Abraham through Isaac, whereas Muslims trace it to Abraham through Isaac's brother Ishmael. But they go back to Abraham. They have a lot of the same myths. Okay, Muslims do believe that Jesus was a holy person. Now, they don't believe that he was the Son of God, but they do believe that he was a prophet. And for those of you who don't understand what the word prophet means, it's like being God's voice. So God speaks to you and you share his message to the people is essentially what a prophet is. So Muhammad and his early followers in Mecca are going to meet resistance. They are not seen as popular. And they actually leave the city of Mecca and flee north to Medina and then establish culture there. And Medina is going to become our first Muslim city. All right, so Islam 101, real fast, things that you need to know here. Again, remember, if I'm moving too fast, you guys can pause, rewind. YouTube's a beautiful thing. All right, so Islamic essentials that you need to know. They are monotheistic. They worship Allah, which is the Arabic word for God. So they worship God. They just say Allah because that's the language they speak. Okay? Their sacred text is known as the Quran, which is, again, an Arabic word. It stands for the Word of God. So if you ask them to translate it, well, they would say Quran. Essentially, their sacred text is the Word of God. They practice their faith in what is known as the 5 pillars of Islam. So that is the 5 things that they do on a daily basis to practice their faith. Things like praying 5 times a day, facing Mecca, taking a pilgrimage one time in their life, paying alms, fasting during the month of Ramadan. Okay, these are all things that they do. It's part of the background and backbone of their faith. And then one of the last things that they believe that is one of the 5 pillars is that Muhammad is the one true God's prophet. Like I said, they believe the other prophets are prophets as well, but their statement of faith, which is known as the Shahada, it's one of the 5 pillars, is that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. Okay? Acceptance of Judeo-Christian prophets, including Jesus. I cannot underline enough times that the vast majority of Muslims do believe in all of that. They are not all ISIS, okay? In fact, the vast majority of them are not at all. They believe that they are descendants of the Hebrews whom Moses led out of Egypt. So again, Moses fleeing Egypt, Pharaoh, all of that stuff is part of Islam's background. And then another big thing to know here is that Mecca is the location of the Kaaba, or the first house of God built by Abraham and Ishmael. And that's what that is right there. And every Muslim is required one time in their life to make a pilgrimage or a Hajj to Mecca to see this house of God. All right, and you guys can do one of 2 things to fill in your 5 pillars. I'm going to say them real quickly here. These QR codes on the screen go into a little more detail. You can scan them or you can just look them up online yourselves. But essentially, the 5 pillars are their statement of faith that there is one God, and that is Allah, and that Muhammad is his prophet. The second one is their daily prayer. Pray 5 times a day facing Mecca. They believe in almsgiving. There is a percentage of income that Muslims are required to give to charity as part of their faith. They fast during the month of Ramadan. Fasting is not moving very quickly. What it means is that they don't eat while the sun is up. So during the month of Ramadan, Muslims will wake up before the sun rises, eat a very large meal, and then they will fast all day as a sacrifice for their religion. And then after sundown, they can have another meal. Other religions do this as well. And there you have some of the basics. And then the last one is that they have to make that pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj. All right, so those are some of the basics of Islam. Again, if you want to, feel free to scan these barcodes and fill in your 5 pillars, or if you want to, you can find them from another media outlet. That is all for this video, and I will catch you guys later.